All right, on his first official visit to Britain as South Africa's president, Cyril Ramaphosa, President Ramaphosa meeting the Queen yesterday, as well as the British Prime Minister Theresa May. As far as the Prime Minister was concerned, managing to procure some investment promises from her. Let me take you live now to the UK. Correspondent Natalie Powell is working that story very closely for Newsday today. So, Natalie, the way I'm looking at it is that yesterday was largely ceremonial, but you'll tell us that today it's really down to business.
It really is getting down to business. In fact, Jeremy, I'm stood outside the European headquarters of Bloomberg, and just a few moments ago we saw President Ramaphosa enter there. He's heading up a working lunch with business leaders and major investors, of course. So even during his lunch break, he doesn't get a rest. So it is very much all about business today. As you said, the pomp and ceremony we saw yesterday, meeting the Queen, meeting with Prime Minister Theresa May, and of course the Commonwealth banquet at the Guildhall, in which he gave a keynote speech. But interestingly, during that meeting with UK Prime Minister Theresa May, it was a bilateral trade meeting, and the UK announcing £50 million worth of funding to South Africa over the next 4 years. That's around about 850 million rand. So already things seem to be going quite well for the South African delegation whilst they're here, but it does appear that they've got a lot more work to do. And as Cyril Ramaphosa put it yesterday, he wants to trawl the world for those investment opportunities.
And he would be starting that trawling process, Natalie, with Commonwealth leaders. So aside from the pomp and ceremony, as you say, it's also about shared agendas and forging new partnerships and using the common interests that exist within the Commonwealth to try and build better trade bridges.
Absolutely, and that theme of being together, moving forward together, is very much one that is key to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting that kicks off in earnest tomorrow and Friday, of course. And really what we're seeing is a lot of moving towards the Commonwealth from everybody that's attending here today. We know that Cyril Ramaphosa earlier on today was part of a round table. It was a closed-off round table event with other African leaders who are here as part of this event. There are 19 nations in total from Africa that are part of the Commonwealth and represented here this week as well. So not only is it to do with closer trade and economic ties with the Commonwealth, but also with African nations as well. And the way that it was said yesterday during both his speech outside Downing Street and of course his keynote speech at the Guildhall last night was that he really sees, this is Cyril Ramaphosa of course, he really sees the Commonwealth as a family, and in a time of people moving away and countries trying to move away from each other, he realizes the necessity of actually moving together and growing together and partnering up in order to have a positive effect on one's economy. And
Natalie, just finally, let's make absolutely clear, let's make this clear, that it's a two-way street as far as the Commonwealth and London is concerned, because Theresa May has got to work very hard at forging new trade alliances ahead of Brexit.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Brexit is pretty much the only word you hear on people's mouths in the UK at the moment, of course, with that really coming up pretty soon. We're expecting the UK to leave the EU at the end of March 2019, of course, and this will be an opportunity for the UK to forge those new ties, potentially, or at least discuss them, and look forward to other opportunities in terms of trade in the future. And it would appear that what better place to start, of course, than a Commonwealth, an area where you have already those ties, you have common ground, and building on those ties. And in fact, the funding that has been put forward to South Africa is to go towards identifying and dismantling barriers to trade with South Africa and indeed across the continent itself. So as you can see, a lot of opportunities are being used during the heads of Commonwealth government being here in London to try to really suss out where there could be possible trade links in the future for the UK as it prepares to leave the EU.
All right.